Daryl should have been reprimanded?
I think that's another situation that should stay behind closed doors. We are to see what happens with any one of our players or with an owner or with a GM at a later date. I think when we all sit back and learn from the situation that happened, understand that what you could tweet or could say, and we all talk about this freedom of speech. Yes, we all do have freedom of speech, but at times there are ramifications for the negative that can happen when you're not thinking about others and you only think about yourself. So I don't believe I don't want to get into a word or sentence feud with Daryl Morey, but I believe he wasn't educated on the situation at hand, and he spoke, and so many people could have been harmed, not only financially but physically, emotionally, spiritually. So just be careful what we tweet and we say and what we do, even though yes, we do have freedom of speech, but there can be a lot of negative that comes with that too.
Describe the trip and all the political noise that you and your teammates just went through.
I think when we talk about the political side, I think it's a very delicate situation, very sensitive situation, and for me personally, I think if any of you guys know me or always cover me, you guys know when I speak about something, I speak about something I'm very knowledgeable about, something that hits home for me, something I'm very passionate about. And I felt like with this particular situation, it was something not only was I, not informed enough about, I just felt like it was something that not only myself and my teammates or our organization had enough information to even talk about it at that point in time, and we still feel the same way.
How do you think the league handled the situation overall?
I mean, I'm not sure. I'm not here to judge how the league handled the situation. I just think that, when you're misinformed or you're not educated about something, and I'm just talking about, the tweet itself, you never know the ramifications that can happen. We all seen what that did. Not only did for our league, but for all of us in America, for people in China as well. And sometimes you have to think through things that you say that may cause harm, not only for yourself, but for the majority of people. And I think that's just a prime example of that.
Emotions, just be mentally focused. We'll see what happens, play confident.
Klay Thompson in the zone, running the floor, a foul. Thompson grabs his left knee.
That knee injury will keep him out.
Green and throws it away. Warriors ball. An NBA championship on the line. The Curry puts up a three. Won't go. We the North are now we the champions.
Welcome back to the Woj Low NBA season preview special. That feels like it happened somehow 2 weeks ago and like a lifetime ago. How about that? The defending champion, Toronto Raptors, the purple dinosaur team from the North, won it all, and then everything changed. All the star players switched teams. The landscape is totally different. Toronto's probably not a Tier 1 title contender this year, almost certainly not. Sorry to the Raptors fans. But this is the most wide-open season in recent memory with the dismantling of the Warriors by injury and free agency defection. You and I both made our separate lists of our sort of inner circle Tier 1 title contenders. We're going to put them up. I haven't seen yours yet. The suspense has been killing me all day. And bam, we do have some differences. We have the same 5 teams right off the top. You have Blazers and Nuggets as teams 6 and 7. You do not have the Rockets. I have the Rockets and not the Blazers and Nuggets. So I would say let's start with the differences because we're all going to agree on those top 4 teams at least. We can talk about Utah. You can pick the direction of this. Do you want to chastise me for having the Rockets and tell me why I'm wrong, or do you want to defend the Blazers and the Nuggets?
Yeah, I'm going on the defense. I'm going
positive. You're going positive. You're not going negative. You're going positive.
Yeah, it's too early in the campaign to go negative. So the Jazz, Blazers, Nuggets to me are teams. They're like the ankle injury away team who could win a title. That if they're playing the Clippers or Lakers in a playoff series and a Paul George goes out with an injury, LeBron or an Anthony Davis goes down, they are good enough, talented enough, they've had the continuity, they've got elite coaching to be able to overtake one of those teams and do something you rarely see in an NBA 4 of 7 series, an upset. But those teams are good enough to do that. But there's no question the Lakers and Clippers in the West and the Bucks and Sixers in the East are the elite.
So I believe in the Jazz. I don't think the Jazz are an ankle injury team. I think the Jazz, if they hit their ceiling, are just can win. Their problem in the last 2 playoffs has been a lack of another shot creator besides Donovan Mitchell, and just missing wide open threes to like a preposterous degree. They should have corrected both of those problems by trading for Mike Conley and signing Bojan Bogdanovic. I really like the Jazz. I think they're two-way balanced. They've had the best defense in the West the last 2 years. I really like that team. Nuggets, Blazers, Rockets are kind of where the rubber meets the road. So why not Rockets?
I am not a believer in this tandem of James Harden and Russell Westbrook together, that's going to be a partnership that's going to allow the Rockets to do the last few years that no one else in the league could do, and that was really push the best team in the league to the limit in Golden State.
And that's why they're grandfathered in for me.
Right, but Westbrook, it is not as much offensively I worry about them together, although, what Westbrook does well, which is attack the rim, play with the ball, he's going to have to play with James Harden. You've got to be able to play without the ball. You've got to be able to make open shots. Those haven't been his strengths, but defensively.
No, the open shot thing definitely has not been.
But defensively, I think the reason that the Rockets have been elite the last few years, yes, they'll score the ball. I do not think they will be an elite defensive team. And when you just talked about Utah will be. They were Quinn Snyder, and people are going to see it this year now. This is one of the very best coaches in the NBA. Now they've got shot makers. They are going to be really, really dangerous.
See, I do think Russ brings ingredients that, in theory, the Rockets need: pace, a little bit of chaos, a little bit of not James Harden dribbling 100 times as good as James Harden is. We'll see, but the Rockets are one of many examples this year. This has been the trend of the summer. 2 stars, not 3. A big 2, not a big 3. Now, the reality is, almost every kind of team building model has won, right? Like, what was Toronto? A big 1, a big 1.5? What were the Dirk Nowitzki Mavs? There have been big 3s throughout all of our lifetimes in Boston and LA and Miami and Cleveland. There was a big 4 in the Warriors. Big 2s have won many times before. The history's been done. So I'm not sure any model is any better than the other. But what was your take on the big 2? Was the big 2 an intentional creation of teams? Was it an accident of free agency? And where are we going from here?
Well, the players decided that it was going to be a big 2 and not a big 3 because 2 of the best 3 or 4 arguably players in the world, Kevin Durant, Kawhi Leonard, decided that they were going to be part of big 2s. And if Kevin Durant stays in Golden State, if Kawhi goes to the Lakers instead of the Clippers, I mean, you would have shut the league down this year. There would have been one team and no oxygen for anybody else.
I think we all would have moved to Los Angeles. It would have been mandatory.
Absolutely. And so now the talent has spread out. This is always what Adam Silver imagined. This is what he's wanted. And it's not parity, but it's more parity among the elite players in the league. And listen, they all flock to a couple markets: New York, Los Angeles.
They spread out, but they spread like way out to the coasts. The big 2, big 3 thing is interesting because the Nets and the Clippers 3 are the most interesting examples because they have 2 stars and they have depth. They have real legitimate depth. And that's what you sacrifice to get the 3rd star. You sacrifice your depth. And I think the Nets, with a lot of young trade assets and a lot of draft picks, they have an extra 1st-round pick coming in, are going to be the team that most faces the question, do we want to cash some of that depth in for a 3rd star, or are we going to ride with that depth? And there's arguments either way. I mean, when your depth gets expensive, then you can't pay anybody, and you've sort of missed a chance maybe to cash it in for a 3rd star.
Zach, I think the Nets have a 3rd star, Karis LeVert.
He might be. Yeah. I know we're going to learn about, is he a 3rd star? Is he a vehicle to get the 3rd star? And then you look around the league, and you think, well, when you get to the playoffs, the stars play all the minutes. That depth becomes a little less important. The more stars you have, the more insurance you have against an injury to one of them at the wrong time. That's why the Warriors decided, let's just sacrifice all our depth to get as many stars as we can. But it's going to be interesting to see how the teams navigate that. And the other question is, who is the 3rd star? What guy is actually going to be available for trade? And you look around the league, and there just aren't that many guys. And that's why I think a lot of eyes are going to be trained on Washington over the next year. And can we pry Bradley Beal loose from a Wizards team that is really in the doldrums, is waiting on John Wall's health? If there's another star player...